Going to be humiliated beyond belief. He will not believe it. He will not believe what's going to happen to him. Beyond his worst nightmares. Sell one more record. This attorney I found, I interviewed several, and I picked the nastiest son of a bitch I could find. Once I make that phone call, this guy is just going to destroy everybody in sight, any devious, nasty, cruel way that he can do it. And I've given him full authority to do that. It'll be a massacre if I don't get what I want. If I go through with this, I win big time. I will get everything I want, and they will be destroyed forever. They will be destroyed. June is going to lose Jordy. She will have no right to ever see him again. Yeah. That's fact, Dave. That's what's going to happen. Michael's career will be over.
Does that help Jordy?
Michael's career will be over.
And does that help Jordy?
That's irrelevant to me.
Heard directly from Jordan Chandler that he didn't believe that Michael Jackson was capable of the things he was being accused of. And that's very powerful. You know, every allegation, in a sense, is built upon the original 1993 allegation. And I believe that if that one is false, which I do believe it is false, all the rest crumble.
Chandler, Evan Chandler, to say, he lied. He wanted money from Michael. And Michael had mentioned that to me. And he said he was going to do something to him. Because he wanted money. I think he was making a movie or something like that. I believe that's what it was. But it was a big lie. And his son, Jordan, and Michael would go to their home. He was a friend of all of them. And this man did this to him. But Jordan Chandler his son knew that it wasn't true. So he came to Michael and told him, Michael, I'm sorry, what's going on? I know it's not true. So Michael told him, so why don't you go and get on in the news and tell them so people wouldn't think this terrible thing about me? But he said, I can't do that. If I did that, my father would kill me. So and when the second accusation came out on Michael, and I think it was 04 or 03, one or the other, and the trial was in 05, Jordan wanted to be a witness on Michael's side. But then a lawyer had told him that if you do that, the insurance company that paid you the money will make you all pay it all back. I didn't feel that George should have been able to pay it back because he was only a child. His father made him do it. But since Michael's been dead, Jordan came. It's been in the papers. I don't know. A lot of people didn't read it because only the small, you know how they do. And he had said that Michael hadn't touched him, hadn't done anything to him, and he just wished he could have let Michael know that he was going public with it before he died. And then I guess about a month or two later, his father committed suicide. And I always felt it was his father's guilt, that he was lived as a rich man after telling a lie on my son, and they're taking all of his endorsements away from it. They took everything Michael had away from him because of this lie this man told. And I thought maybe he was ashamed to live any longer. I don't know what it was, but I think it was linked to his son coming out finally and telling the truth. But the thing about it, the news never mentioned it that much, maybe once, maybe, and if you heard it, it was probably late at night. And these people have been living with this lie this man told all the time, and I think the public should have known that it was a lie.
Save Chuck's dramatic scene where he claims Michael Jackson gave him jewelry for sex, including an alleged wedding ring, was deceptively staged and edited to appear as one seamless scene, when in fact it was actually edited together from filming done on two separate occasions 17 months apart, and done intentionally to pump up the drama of the scene. You can tell by looking at his clothes, essentially the same in both shots, except he forgot the undershirt the second time around. And look out the window. Clearly different seasons, with the plants trimmed in one shot, but not the other. Once people pointed out the changes, Dan Reed was forced to admit he went back and rented the same Airbnb to recreate and reshoot the scene nearly a year and a half later. Can viewers trust deceptive editing? The staged sequence at the end of Leaving Neverland, showing Wade Robson burning Michael Jackson items, is misleading to the point of fakery. That's because Robson sold his most valuable Michael Jackson memorabilia in 2011 for nearly $100,000. Needing money, he consigned all items to Julian's auction and tried to remain anonymous. But Julian's auctions wouldn't agree, tweeting, "Wade asked to remain anonymous and said that he did not want anyone to know that it was him selling the items in 2011. But we did not agree to that and listed it as the Wade Robson collection. He consigned multiple items and wanted us to sell all items of his that had value." Leaving Neverland fails to mention Wade Robson has been looking to make money by shopping for a lucrative book deal, unsuccessfully, about the allegations in the year prior to his lawsuit. Leaving Neverland also fails to mention that when writing it, Robson could recall so few details in 2012 about his story with Michael Jackson, the same details he remembers with such supposed precision in Leaving Neverland, that he had to ask his mother by email to help him fill in the blanks.
Did you ever ask your mother for any written materials to help you write your book?
I think along the same lines, but maybe I would ask her, of a certain period of time, could you just jot down the bullet points of what you remember? Asking my mother that, of how the details of when we went to the ranch and the first time, and just how did that unfold, the external details.
So have your memories changed as you've gone through that?
It evolves, details get added to.
Wade Robson was one of the witnesses who eagerly testified for Michael Jackson in 2005. Robson and his family claim in Leaving Neverland it was at a Neverland dinner the night before Robson testified in Michael Jackson's 2005 criminal trial that he became convinced that he needed to lie on the stand the next day to save him. Except, according to Jackson family members, that dinner actually took place after Wade testified. He also claims in the film he had to testify because he was subpoenaed.
Then you have his constantly changing story about how he came to testify in 2005 for Michael Jackson's defense, beginning with, "I didn't realize I'd been abused," and then morphing into, "Well, I did know I'd been abused, but I didn't want to be responsible."
His family was hundreds of miles away at the Grand Canyon. Michael Jackson abused him for the first time. But that's not the story Robson told in his lawsuit against Jackson's companies or in a deposition under penalty of perjury just months before HBO's cameras began rolling. There, he claims his family was still at Neverland when it first happened, and his sister was sleeping upstairs in Michael's room. Two entirely different versions of events told by Wade Robson, just 2 months apart.
The first night, the night prior, we both slept in the bed with Michael. And at some point in that second night, she said to me, "I think we should, you and I should sleep upstairs." I don't know why. I don't know why she said that or why she thought that. But I didn't want to. So whenever it was bedtime, she went upstairs and Michael and I stayed in the bed downstairs. And I believe at some point that night, the abuse started.
So which is it? The version Wade Robson tells in a sworn deposition, or his version in Leaving Neverland? If he changes his story in 2 months for the cameras, how can you trust him at all? But that's not all. Earlier testimony by Robson and his mother contradict the entire 1990 story told in Leaving Neverland that director Dan Reed uses as a foundation for the film. Robson's mother, Joy, testified in 1993 that her son was never alone with Michael Jackson at Neverland until that year. And here she is seen confirming under oath in 2016 that her entire family, husband, parents, and kids, went on the trip to the Grand Canyon.
I understand that you stayed then 2 different weekends at Neverland on that trip, is that right?
Yes.
And then in between you and your kids and your husband and your parents all went on tourist trip to the Grand Canyon?
Yes.
So you were there, is it 2 nights the first time?
Yes.
And then you came back after your whole family had gone away?
Yes.
And you spent another, 2 nights?
At Neverland, yes.
Robson himself testified as an adult that the first time he visited Neverland without his mother was in 1992 or 1993, which means he would not have been alone at Neverland with Michael Jackson in 1990, as Leaving Neverland claims. In other words, Robson and his family over time have told multiple versions of a key story viewers heard in Leaving Neverland. So which is it? The version Joy Robson tells in her deposition, or the version Dan Reed presents in Leaving Neverland?
I danced when I heard that he died. I was laying in bed. The news came on. I got out of bed and I was, oh, thank God he can't hurt any more children. Those were my thoughts. And I danced. He can't hurt any more children. I was so happy he died.